All right. After a small break, let's go ahead and continue on with creating our own project. I'm going to go ahead and close down some of the few things here, and we're going to create our own project using NetBeans. So we're going to go ahead and leave this project because we're going to actually take code from what we did in the previous video. So what I'm going to do is just close out all these windows. We will grab the code from them later. And I'm going to go to File, New Project. And let's call this HTML. Let's make sure we choose HTML5 JavaScript. And then we'll say Next. Let's give this a name. Put it on the desktop so you don't lose it. Let's call this Module 1. And put your name. Actually, it doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want because you won't be turning in the folder. We'll just be doing screenshots and throw it into a Word document. So you can call it whatever you want. Okay, so here is my new HTML project. No site template. Do not choose any of these guys. Okay, and finish. Okay, so here is our index.html for our new project. Now, if you notice over here on the left, I don't know if I can zoom in on this. I can't. I'll be zooming in on the code for you because I like to do things on a big screen. It's helpful, but sometimes it makes it hard for you guys to see things. But you see over here, we got our first project from the first video. And this is the project that I just created. And in the site root, it comes with index.html. And that's what we're looking at right here. So I open up index.html, and here is what we got. So here's part of the assignment. I want you to create 3 JS files. I'm only going to show you 2. You do the third one on your own. So here is where I'm going to go to File. I can go to File, New File, right there. Or the best way to do it is just go to your project and right-click and say New JavaScript file. And let's call this one first. Okay, there's our first.js. It just comes up as an empty header. Here, I've got it selected here. Here's our index again. And here's our first.js. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to add another one. New JavaScript file. And this one I'm going to call second. Okay, finish. Now, I want you to print hello world with your name. And I want you to do the prints in 2 different files with 2 different functions. I want you to show your understanding of multiple files using JavaScript. So what we want to do here is, since we're going to print in a canvas, let's start playing around with the canvas, man. That's what we're going to be doing all quarter. So let's go ahead, instead of doing hello world print inside of the regular web page, let's create a canvas. So let's go ahead and let's steal that code. Let's borrow. Borrow is always good. Just remember, there are limits to borrowing. Never borrow code when you're taking a final. All right, so we know to create a canvas, we just create a canvas, we declare the canvas, and we shut down the canvas element declaration with this. That's why it's got that /. Start of canvas code, end of canvas code. Okay, so this creates a 1200 by 800 canvas. So let's just grab that. Let's grab that, and let's bring it back to our index, and let's throw it into here. Remember, body, the end of the body. Okay, so there's our canvas. Let's test it. Oh, I gotta change that. I gotta get the debugger for NetBeans installed on this. I'd rather show you debugging in Chrome because it's a much better debugger in a lot of ways. Okay, so evidently our canvas is not showing up, and I'm not sure. Let's see here. let's get rid of this. And let's compare it to the example code. And it looks like I'm doing it in the body. We shouldn't have to set the style. Well, let's debug it and see what's kind of going on here. But that should be working. Oh, it's white. The whole screen is white. That's why it's there. It's just not defined. Okay, so that's why I did the style. Duh. Okay. So yeah, it's there. It's white, and the whole screen's white. So let's go ahead and let's grab the style code. That'll help us be able to see it better in our web page. So let's go ahead and grab this one right here. This is special. This is actually CSS code, and it's telling the web page how to render our canvas. Now here's important. We're saying put a 1 pixel border around it. That is so that we can see it. It's still there. We just can't see it. So let's go ahead and put this inside, and let's go ahead and do it. And we're also setting the background of the web page. So this is just so that we can see it in the web page. So let's take our style code and let's put that over here in the index. Okay, remember it's going to be in the body, and you notice how I'm setting the style before I define the canvas, because the style has to exist so that we tell it to draw so it knows how to draw the canvas and render the web page. So I'm going to go ahead and put that style right there. Did I do it there? I probably should have done it there in the last one. Yeah, I did it in the body. Okay. So here's our code. Now we've got our canvas in there, and we have our style. So this is why I do things from ground up, is because these little persnickety things that crop up would cost you hours and hours of headache. So the canvas, we need to make sure that we can see it. So let's put a border on it. Let's set the background of it, and then let's also apply a different background with the gray color to the web page itself, so that the canvas stands out. So now when we hit play, there it is. There's our canvas. Okay, cool. That is good. Okay, so we have our canvas showing up now. There it is. Here's our gray background. That's this part right here. And this is CSS, by the way. And one thing, once you have it set here, you can just forget it. You don't have to worry about it, because you won't be using this. The only time that we're going to be programming in the HTML file is literally now, is when you just learn how to put a canvas inside of a web page. Other than that, we're just working with the canvas. So don't get your eyes too crossed over having to learn HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Mostly it's just going to be just JavaScript. And of course, you're not really learning anything new because you've already had a C-based language as a prerequisite. Okay, so we have our canvas. Now we want to do some includes. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do our first and our second includes. And here, let's do this. We need to define a canvas variable so that we can draw to the canvas from our second file. So that means that our canvas needs to be declared in our first file, so that every file afterwards has access to it. So we're going to go inside of first, and what we need inside of first here is, since this is going to be included first, we're going to be putting in some of that context and canvas code from our previous examples. So what we're going to do here is, let's first include the files in the index. So we'll go back here to here, and I'm going to say here, okay, here's my include example code, and we're just going to change it. We're going to go back over here, and what we're going to do is the script that we want to include is going to be called our first.js, and then we're going to do another one, and that's going to be second.js. Now remember, code that's inside of second.js first has no knowledge of, because it's being defined first. Code that's inside of first, second has knowledge of. Okay, so if we want to draw on the canvas in both and have that capability to do in the first file and the second file, we need to define the canvas in the first file. If we define the canvas variable inside the second file, we would not have access to it from the first. So we're going to go back up here to our MyScript1, and this is where we actually define our canvas and our context. Now remember, this is getting the canvas from the web page. The document is the web page, and the element that we're getting is our canvas element. So if we look at over here, we see that our canvas element has been given the ID of canvas. That's what we're using to grab a hold of it. Let's grab this code and let's bring it down here into first.js and paste it. Okay, now we got that. All right, so now we can implement the canvas in the context in both first.js and second.js, because we defined the canvas and context in this first file, therefore the second file has access to it. So now what I want you to do is I want you to draw a string. So we're going to do a string draw. And I believe, what is the assignment? It's, let's see, create a project with 3 files, print hello, in your first function print hello, in your second function print world, and your third function print your name. Okay, so that means that all 3 functions need to be called at some point. So let's just define the functions first, and then we will call them. And in fact, we'll call them from the second file, and I'm going to let you guys do the third file on your own. Okay, so let's go back to our project. Let's go to first.js, and oh wait, let's cheat a little bit because we already know how to write that code. So let's go to, didn't we do it? Yeah, we did it right there. Fill text, cool. And we've already included the context. So let's go ahead here and let's grab this guy. Control C. Okay, let's bring him down to first. Okay, now we could literally just do this and it would totally work. But we want this to be done in a function because we want to have more control over our code and not build what's called spaghetti code. So let's build a function. Let's call it, I believe, I just tried to write C++ there. I think it's function. Well, let's cheat. Function, yeah, it's function. Okay, so it's function, print, let's call it print first. Okay, and inside of that we do our print hello. All right, now let's take this guy, copy it, go to our second file, and say print second. Okay, and this one's going to be world. Now here's the deal. We don't want to print at position 600. We want to print to the right a little bit more. So let's do 700. I think we got enough size on our screen. You guys might want to do different numbers if you've got a smaller screen. So when we run this, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to get any print hello world or whatever. That's because we defined these functions. That's all we've done. We've got print first. We've defined our canvas and our context. We've defined our print first function. We've got print second. We defined that function. So now all we got to do is just call it. So we say, okay, let's do print first, print second. Or you could do print second, print first. Or you can send in some numbers to print them in different areas. Oh, we can play with that here in a little bit. Okay. Print first. Print second. Oh, there we go. Hello world. Cool. Now let's play with it. Why don't we do this? Let's do int x, and let's pass where we want the x to be. And then let's go to print first, and let's do an int x there. And let's pass where we want it to be. Okay, so now let's go back. It doesn't like me. Oh, because I'm writing C++ again. Var x. Excuse me, JavaScript. Var x. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we've got to send in where we want it to print. Let's say we want this at x position 100 and this one at x position 300. Oh my goodness, what did I do wrong? It does not like me. Did the var x totally fail? Oh no. Let's go ahead and look at the debugger. More tools. Developer tools. Let's go to sources. Why isn't there any sources? Why doesn't it show my other files? It probably just does not like me very much. Interesting. Looks like this is being an error. There's a weird error here for the project. Did I call these right? Well, typical. First.js, second.js. I don't think NetBeans is having a problem with it. It just does not want to work for me. And that's another reason why I'd like to do, oops, we don't need that. Okay, so for some reason, oh, console mode, oh, that var, what? So I went to sources and I noticed here that it's not including any of my JS files inside the project. In other words, Chrome is ignoring my JS files. So I go to console to see what kind of output I got for errors, and it does not like my var. Oh, I totally forgot how to build a variable in JavaScript. Well, it's a nightmare when you're working with 10 languages all the time, but they're all the same, so it doesn't matter. Okay, well, all right, how do I create a variable in JavaScript? Create a JavaScript variable. All right. Look at me going around and messing around. No, it's supposed to be doing that. Var x. Oh, okay, maybe it's the way that I'm passing the variable to the function. Okay, so let's do this. Pass variable to JavaScript function. JavaScript function parameter. Oh, you don't put var, you dum-dum. That's C++ again. All right. So evidently it did not like that. So it just totally decided that this whole file does not include. It's gone. JavaScript just said, "Oh, we got a big problem here. I'm just not even going to include that file." So we just got to get rid of the var here. And that's why debugging is so important, not just because you find yourself writing with other languages, but JavaScript, it's very hard to deduce what's going on because it doesn't give you a lot of feedback. And you got to know where to look to get that feedback. Nice. Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to create a third file. that has print third in it. And these lines will be removed from this file, and you will have these inside of your third file, and with it you will have print third. Now play around. Here's what I would like you to do. Try to pass an X and Y position. That's a challenge. It's not an assignment, but try to pass the X and Y position to each function on where you want it to print. What I want to see is you have print first, print second, print third, and these are going to be in your third.js file. So you need to add that third.js file down here, and it's got to be underneath. It can't be first because it needs access to all the code you wrote in first and all the code you wrote in second. So you're going to put it down here. That's where you're going to include your third.js. And inside your third.js, you're going to remove these two lines, and these two lines will be inside of your third.js with a print third function call. So you're going to define another function called print third. All right, and all this is just so that you understand that big idea of how multiple files are done in JavaScript. And it's basically the same way that all code is done. If it's defined, you have to define something before you can use it. The interpreter or the compiler needs to know what you're working with. It just kind of makes sense. All right, guys, have fun. Next week, we get started on the game loop. We're going to get busy real soon. All this environment stuff is going to start working for you in the fun of creating a game. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead and work on that assignment. Ask yourself some what-if questions. Play around with things. That's the way you learn. It is not by just what you need to do, but ask yourself a what-if. What interests you? Think of things to experiment with. Another thing I would like to add is you can look for JavaScript books, JavaScript free PDF. That's a good one. But you got to be careful on some of those websites. They can be bad because they will push pirated PDF files, unfortunately. And when you get on one of those websites, they like to also push malware to you. So be careful. All right, let's call it, and I will speak with you again next week on our next video. Goodbye.